Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to say hi and welcome to a fresh, brand new edition of the program ASHFORD GARLEY on British Radio Africa. It feels great to be back home as always. With that, Father God, we just want to give you praise. We want to magnify your name. Blessed be your holy name forever. Father, we are grateful to you. With that, we want to say thank you. Having said that, folks, some call him the mastermind, the doctor of law, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. Basi yompro, se kovula e pelia. Bedi akuya e gweple, boro bla e pare ko yo boro sei. Jira se tu pa yege, se bon blo da na ja ko me o jira ji. Tough times don't last, tough people do. The height of a man is never known until he rises, because there's no second chance to make that first impression. Don't see okra and swallow bone, because you can't hide your nakedness from bathing bucket. As for the giant, and now you know me, Garley. Welcome. And it's time to give it up for Anthony Gay, February King, Dempster Greer, Yamburu Uo, Atogwaya. Are you right, Daddy? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. The Idatu's added, my man. What's up? Welcome to the show.
Oh, greetings to all of our Liberian brothers and sisters. Greetings to you wonderful panelists. Such a great day. It's a pleasure being back once more to talk about our country, Liberia. Thanks for having me.
Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts, welcome to the show. Unmute your mic, please. Welcome to the show. Mrs. Roberts, are you there? Okay. Dr. James T. Fisk, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ashford, and my greetings to the other panelists, and my greetings to those in listening and viewing land. I hope we can together have another explosive episode of ASHFORD GARLEY Live on British Radio Africa. Thank you.
Well, let us begin the show tonight to talk about the endorsement of President Weah by some 56 members of the House of Representatives and, of course, the Senate, and at the headquarters of the CDC today. And we saw some faces that people thought were leaning towards the Unity Party, but it was not the case today, as we clearly saw them representing their constituents and, of course, aligning themselves with our CDC. So when we come back, we'll touch on that, plus more on ASHFORD GARLEY Live. Please don't go away.
ASHFORD GARLEY, Bureau number one, right? Okay.
The phrase, "a new sheriff is in town," does not only belong to law enforcement. How about the introduction of Liberia's premier vodka, a quality and customized liquor for all occasions? Try the flavor of your choice. Hams Vodka, Hams Honey, Hams Bitter, and Ham's original vodka. Ham's vodka has no hangover. That's why they say Papa drink Mama happy. Ham's vodka is sold in all stores, shops, supermarkets, and entertainment centers in Liberia. For wholesale, contact Ham's Vodka at 0777 001114, 0777 000 We can also be reached via social media on Facebook and IG at Ham's Vodka or www.hansvodka.com. In the United States, please contact Hans North America Incorporated at 610-543-9289, 484-888-1622, 484-755-8411. Hans Vodka is approved by the U.S. federal government. Hans Vodka brings out the real man in you.
I tell you, in my boy, in my blood.
And that's right, we're back. And Anthony Gate is saying CDC lawmakers endorsed President Weah. We also see Aloysius Ben Boa. He said, hi, impressive intro as usual. Excuse me. I am watching you guys from New York City. Then we see Patrick Zebe. He says, so you from Grand Jet? Oh, yeah, my brother. Now you know that. I'm going to blow you out. And then we see Anthony Gate saying, Dr. Fisk, who are you leaning towards so far? Dr. Face, you need to answer that question. Tokat D. Richards is in watching you from Minnesota. And I see Elvis, my man himself, he said, oh, Dempster Greer is laughing. And folks, gentlemen, we have George Weah in the news, CDC is in the news. Supporters of CDC are all in the news, and something interesting happened today. You know, a few weeks ago, if not months, Edwin Snow was spotted on his farm when Ambassador Boyka went to Bumming. And he went, according to the report, he was on his knees, you know, asking for apology because, you know, Edison is very close to Jeremiah Cohen. So people were thinking, what was Edwin Snow doing there? And I knew full well that Edwin Snow said in the past that Omen Boyka had some text message exchanges, and in those text messages, one of which Edwin Snow said, the old man said, Snow, whatever you did to me, you will pay for it. And today, we saw senators and representatives went to endorse President Weah. Edwin Snow showed up, and President Weah himself was shocked. So let us take a listen, take a watch, and then we can talk about this.
At the center of gravity, the headquarters of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I'm pleased to also announce to you that the contemporary father of Bomi County politics, in president of Honorable Edwin Snow is here.
Liberian politics, Idatus added, people were angry with Ambassador Boycott for aligning himself with Edwin Snow. The likes of Yeke Kolobad and several others were saying, do not trust Edwin Snow. This guy is a political vivant, you know, and he's a guy that cannot be trusted. And today, true to what we already know about Edwin Snow happened. What are your thoughts?
You know, Asheville, that speaks to the true testament of the Honorable Joseph Boyka. He's a man who doesn't keep grudges in his heart. He believes that Liberia can grow together with individuals who are visionary and compassionate about the country. Today is a testament that Yeke Koluba can now relax. He was very concerned about the Honorable Joseph Boyka aligning himself with Mr. Snow. But that speaks also to the reality that Mr. Boyka is indeed a very forgiven man, contrary to the reports that Mr. Snow represented, that he keeps things in his heart. As you would notice, the Honorable Joseph Ima Boyka, at the time when the Lothians called upon him to give Jefferson Koji an award, he was open to doing that because he's a statesman, he's a father figure, and he intends to reconcile the country beyond our political divisions, irrespective of the fact that we're campaigning for the hearts and minds of the Liberian people to show precisely who can lead them to higher heights and greater endeavors for their prosperity. What you saw today were a group of senators that Liberian people now know that are currently sitting on their prosperity from the dividing of $30,000 to on a regular basis, depriving Liberian people by the high salaries that they make. Now we know the individuals who have been passing the budget for this president. So Liberians have a choice to make in this very critical time and juncture.
Dr. Fisk.
I mean, the thing is, the first law of nature is a law of self-preservation. Okay, so basically everybody is trying to vote their pocket. Okay, so the lawmakers are voting their pockets because this is a legislature that makes a salary, annual salary that's higher than the U.S. Congress. Okay, I mean, you can't get any unrealistic beyond that. And the Liberian people have to understand that if they should learn from Mr. Weah, they should learn from the lawmakers and be selfish. Let them vote their own pockets as well. In other words, Mr. Weah has been, they give Mr. Weah a job for five and a half years now. But what has Mr. Weah given them in return? Soccer pitches? I don't know, and I can not remember the last time soccer put food on the table for anybody, especially not playing professional. Okay, especially in places like Claratown, where the joblessness would be over 90%, but yet and still the Mr. Weah is building soccer pitch rather than opening factories so that people become employed and people have a stake in their own economy. Now, who is the biggest loser for the kind of graphic today? With all due respect, the greatest loser is the likes of Mr. Kuhn, because Mr. Kuhn is a part of that group. Mr. Kuhn has been a part of that group and continues to be a part of that group until maybe after an election, and then he becomes vice president. Okay. And somebody asked me, where am I leaning? I'm leaning towards the Liberian people. What do I mean by that? That is why when people argue for Cummings, they say, oh, Cummings got all this experience. And when he worked with the white people, he had a clean record. Ellie Johnson also had a clean record when she worked with the white people. George Weah was considered one of the most disciplined African soccer players. But for some reason, when they come to work for their own people, they treat their own people like trash. All of those guys you saw sitting endorsing Weah and taking unrealistic salaries, if all of them were working in the West, they will work in an exemplary manner. So you have to ask yourself, what is missing? And what is missing is that we don't respect our institutions and we allow ourselves to be governed by personalities rather than institutions. So at the end of the day, people can corrupt whatever is existing because these are individuals rather than institutions. So if you fix the institution, you can collect puppy dog and put puppy dog in the mansion and things will be okay. That's the problem with Liberia. We don't have good institutions. And there's a reason why, and that is another thing I could comment on as the program goes on. But that's my takeaway. That the biggest loser for what was that charade that was seen today was actually the ticket of Joseph Boakai and Mr. Kuhn.
Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts, 56 out of 103 lawmakers endorsed President Weah today. What says you?
I feel none of them should have endorsed him, but they doing it because they themselves want to be in the fries. They haven't done anything to be re-elected, and they are playing Russian roulette with our people. They're digging holes, covering holes, and doing all the stuff that I do. A government protects its people, provides enabling environment, and looks after its people. They don't drive by in the biggest cars, do big lobsters in front of them. It's like nah 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 nah. Go on vacations. When you're in their corner, you get on the trip on the list to travel. All of those things have done in front of our people. It's all disrespectful. So I don't think any of them should have endorsed him because they all should be going with him. Hit the road, Jack, and don't come back no more. That's my view.
Coach Q, we saw 56 lawmakers, 56 out of 103 endorsed President Weah today. Should you guys be concerned?
Well, first of all, I want to apologize to the panelists and the audience for rushing. I was rushing home to get on here with you guys and share this stage. Should we be concerned? No. And
Why not?
here's why. Joseph Boyka is endorsement King Kong. We know that. Go back to 2017.
Why you always start your conversation with attacking Joseph Boyka?
It's not about attacking Joseph Boyka. So let me make that clear because I don't want to get my brother Addy all hot under the collar this tonight because I love this man. But what I'm saying is we have to look at facts. We have to look at trends in history. Endorsements from perceived corrupt people is not a good thing. Joseph Boyka got drubbed in last election. 19 senators. He stood in the middle of them, and you could tell it's him because he was the shortest one. They all endorsed this man. This man has enjoyed endorsements. I'm thinking the part of the reason why he took his endorsement, part of the reason he said nothing, Ashford. Part of the reason he said nothing when 66 bogus deals got passed and he didn't raise the alarm, he said absolutely nothing, is because he relished these endorsements. Right? So the question is, how do the Liberian people perceive the people that he's getting these endorsements from? What is the Liberia Senate? What's the Liberia Senate ranked? I'm talking about. What's the word I'm looking for? The interest from the Liberian people. It's just skipping my mind. But the Liberian confidence in the Senate. Right? They are lower than the president. Okay, they're lower than the president. The Congress, Liberian Congress, is lower than the president in the ratings of how Liberian people perceive them. So you're getting all these endorsements for these government officials that the Liberian people already do not like. How does that help you? It does not. So you're getting popularity from people who are unpopular. You're getting popularity from people who are infamous. They're not people that Liberian people look up to. So when you go about and say, oh, I got endorsement for this government worker and this government worker, every one of us here sitting knows that. It does not help you at all. So no, we're not worried and we wouldn't be worried. We hope that he gets some more endorsement because all that is saying to the Liberian people is that he is part of that system, the system they're looking to change. Don't forget, George Weah came on a mandate of change. The Liberian people really believed that George Weah was going to change their life and raise the standard of living. So when you are now being endorsed by the people who they put faith in before and you that let them down, we want you to keep getting those endorsements because you're saying you're no change and there is nothing about you that is different than the way they're living now. So no, we're not afraid at all.
Well, that was added. Coach Kia is saying the guy you support is referred to endorsement King Kong. Not only that, I know you're going to touch on that, but 56 out of the 103 lawmakers in the House endorsed President Weah today, and they went further to say that those numbers count for 54% of the entire population in the country. That means George Weah will win these elections in the first round. How did they get to those numbers?
So there's something called political psychology. So image makes a big impact. So that's what they're attempting to do, and it makes sense. While they've gathered all of these senators to tell the Liberian people that they are on the trajectory to victory, but the truth remains is that they were very intimidated that there was a massive defection from the party. So they're trying to confuse the Liberian people. Say, gentlemen, if you know you really like this president, we have to come together and let the poor show that, or let your constituents see that you're still support the president. It's a fear tactic that made them have this rally in 72 hours. Now, pretty tell me, if their rating is lower than the president's failure, their constituencies that they've been governing for about 6 to 9 years, or I think 2 to 9 years for the senators, it's clear that they are drowning and they want to show some type of force. Look at the field today. The crowd was not bad, but that's not the George Weah we know, the celebrity icon who would shut the city down. It was, 40 senators could not fill a football field rather, not a stadium, but just a field. Come on, we know the deal. I think that crowd size and the fact that, they were there, and when you look at what they was, doing when the moderator was asking them to say muya muya or amenda, the senators couldn't even put their hands up in favor of the president. So we know the deal. We are not intimidated by that. Rescue One remains the priority of the Liberian people, and they all remain committed to making him the next president of Liberia. This is an act of desperation because of the rumor and the fact that there is a massive defection. As you stated earlier, Mr. Garley, Mr. Snow went to see him. So all of this fear has been played all in the media. Jefferson Koji threatened the chief justice, not the chief justice, the justice minister and the transportation minister. So they understand that these things are happening. There's a massive defection from their party. So they got to do this to let the Liberian people think and believe that they still got the support. That is certainly not true. Thank you.
Dr. Fisk.
I was just reading the commentaries from our audience, and it makes for an interesting read. So someone was asking me what corporate entity did Ellen work for? Question: what corporate entity did George Weah work for? All of them, the Cummings, the Weah, the Ellen, they have one thing in common. All of them have worked in the West, worked for Western institutions. Let me say it that way. I'm sure when Mr. Cummings worked in Nigeria and some other West African countries you named, he was working on the behest of Coca-Cola. Okay, so when these people are, you cannot measure what they are capable of doing because of what they've done in the West, because the West has institutions. You steal the poor money, they'll put you in jail. Okay, so Ellen couldn't afford to steal. She couldn't. But what was the statement Ellen made when she was president of Liberia? That she take responsibility for the theft of her son. You think Ellen could have made that statement when she was working with the IMF or the World Bank? She could never make that kind of statement. Okay, so let's not. That's why someone wrote, Cummings experience, blah blah blah. I said no. Let's talk about what plans he has, and not necessarily his experience. Because working in the West doesn't say anything. Weah was considered one of the most disciplined. Okay, but look at how reckless he has been. Well, yeah, he was Weah's reputation as a soccer player was a disciplined guy. Maybe one or two incidents of butting somebody and the rest of it, but no, generally speaking, he had a humble reputation. Okay. But when he became president, comparatively, look at how he's running the country. Okay, recklessly. Okay. And so my point that I'm trying to make is that we need to understand what these people represent and now what they've done, because more or less what they've done is not a reflection of what they could present, unless of course we have strong institutions, a robust democracy, that if you steal from the people, they put you in jail immediately, that you cannot use the statutes of the country to exponentially increase your pay to the detriment of the entire nation. And then all of these kleptocrats put themselves together and endorse someone who is clearly stealing from the Liberian people publicly. Okay, so I mean, that was just a charade. But like I said, worst case scenario, who does it have a reflection on as far as all the political candidates? If you line up all three of them, George Weah, George Weah already in the pot, Cummings and Joseph Boakai. That thing that happened today, it has a reflection on Boakai, because Boakai's vice president is part of that same group. Okay, and to some extent, I agree with Reverend Datus too. Okay, that it's just like an empty show of force. Because if you really go down to the numbers, is it realistic that CDC would think that they can win Nima County? I don't see it. Is it realistic that CDC would think that they can win Grand Bassa County? I don't see it. If they can win Grand Bassa, they can win River Sis. They also cannot win Maryland County. What about Monserrato? What the opposition showed is, and the people in Monserrato are the ones that are feeling the pain. They are in the debt and in a situation where there are no hospital and there's joblessness. So they shouldn't be fooled that the people of Monserrato is going to take political power and continue to entrust it to George Weah. I don't see it. So that's a second round election. The thing is, has there been enough back channeling within the opposition so that if and when there's a second round, everybody will be on the same page? That is what I worry about.
Thank you, Don. Well, Mrs. Letty Brooks Roberts, long before today's endorsement, the Weashans, George Weah coined that phrase, that name today, calling the Weashans, the seditions, the Weashans. Long before today's endorsement, the seditions have always said, they've always maintained that this will be a one-round victory for the CDC. And you clearly saw today that 56 lawmakers out of 103 endorsed President Weah. And these guys went further to say that means it's 54% of the nationwide votes in favor of CDC. That would clearly be a one-round victory for CDC. I know you that disagree. Fix your disagreed. What are your thoughts?
Mr. Garley, again, this is just a charade, as one of my fellow panelists said, because they all know they're going down. So they're trying to, I know they know that Mr. Cummings is in the southeast and he's in their terrain. So this is just to show, let's do this to make the people think that we still got it. No, they don't. No one can show you better than they can tell you how the people are living. They know. They're living it every day. Believe, what you want, that they're gonna get this in the first run. Anybody who believes that, then you just don't believe that people have feelings and people have lives and people are, my mom used to say the town has eyes. They may not speak on it, but they observe everything that happens. And as you stated, These people are working. Some of them are working in the government or their relatives, so they're not going to just upfront say, "Oh, that's not who we're voting for." At most of the polls, the people can't even talk because they don't want their opinion known. Okay, that's why we know for a fact that's not going to happen. We have a president who's in the last 60 days, if not 30, hasn't said anything to the people on national issues. You just come and go. That's like so elementary. Who are you? Are you leading us? Anywhere you work or anywhere you go where you have a leader, even if their crisis are peaceful, you come every day and talk to your people every now and then. Things are going well or we're preparing for elections. We need you guys to be vigilant. We need you to know we got, we'll still do what we said we'll do. Why it's true, the time is less. It's a charade. I don't care how you and all this tribalistic thing and county stuff. No, Liberians will vote no matter where they are. Whether you Crown, whether you Grebo, whether you Bassa, Nibadian, you will vote for the issues that you have lived. No one needs to tell them anymore. Again, they had this, when you don't know, it's easier to do what you think is the better option. But now they know.
Okay, well, Coach Q, seditionists are saying, and the Joseph Boyka supporters, Unity Party, are also saying that your guy Cummings can't join on Hall. They're saying he's just in this to show off. In fact, he's only getting a little attention now because of Charlene Bronsky, who has a future, but not in these elections. We want to hear your thought. But just before that, George Weah said and maintained today that he is the real change. Take a listen.
Free YSP, what are they coming to do? What are they coming to rescue? When they told you that they squander their only opportunity they have, what are they coming to do? If someone ever inform you that free education is not the right thing to do, building roads is not the right thing to do, tell them, what are you coming to do? But ask somebody that stayed in the position for 12 years. After he left, in 5 years, everything going good, he said he's coming back again. What is coming to change? We are the change.
I mean, he clearly stated that Cummings is not even a fighter, so he was only referring to honorable boycott. Cummings.
Yeah. So we don't. It's not often that people look at George Weah and think about this great thinker. That's not one thing people relate to when they think about George Weah. I want to say something else about George Weah before I even go into what the nonsense is saying. George Weah was not disciplined when he was a player. As a matter of fact, that was one of his biggest weaknesses, was the fact that he was not disciplined. George Weah was only captain in Liberia. George Weah was the best player in the world at one point. He was number one. If they were to put a soccer team together with one person, it would have been our George Weah. Even that year, the year before, the year after, he was not voted captain. Captain of a team has very little to do with ability, but when the best player on the team for many years is not captain, that's a reflection on his character. So discipline was not, as a matter of fact, that's why they believe George Weah could accomplish even more, and he never did. So he's not. As far as him not speaking to the people he's doing it now, he's just taking a play out of Joseph Boyka's playbook. Joseph Boyka also don't plan on speaking to Liberian people. Remember, he's going to be in foyer sitting now, and Dr. Reverend Addy and them is going to run the campaign for him and win the election. He doesn't plan on going to talk to the Liberian people. Okay. Obviously, George Weah does not know what he's talking about. The Liberian people, if the Liberian people truly believed in George Weah, Why are CDCians going as independent? Let's address the elephant in the room. Why? Why would CDCian be going independent after the election then say they're CDCians? Who was the last person that George Weah handed he raised? Who handed he raised last that won an election? Think about that. He knows this means nothing. It is a charade. He got, and I like that word, kleptocrats. He got a bunch of rogues going along with him. Again, their ratings is lower than his rating. So how is that supposed to help him? So when he says Cummings is not a factor, great. We want Josh Webb making more predictions. Here's the thing. If someone's a cook, okay, we all know about all the food that we eat, the kisali, we all know tabagi. We know one thing, even if a person don't know how to cook, they know one thing. What's common in most of our soup? Chicken soup. Just because you know chicken soup go in the soup doesn't mean you're a cook. George Weah might know that roads are important because roads are an ingredient to building an economy. So is education. He does not know the sequence in which those things happen. That's why he's here bragging about free education, tertiary education, foundational education. Yes, that's how you build a nation. Not going to a university level and start giving kids free education. Don't even think how you're gonna generate the money that you just spent on sending kids to college or kids to college, and those kids are coming out of college without jobs. George Weah has no idea how to build an economy. He has no idea how to build a nation from foundational point perspective. All he's doing is he's saying, I know one or two ingredients. I know one or two ingredients, and that's that. So that does not make you a cook. George Weah does not know how to George Weah does not know how to put things together. He does not know how to put the country together. So he's not going to win an election. Let him keep lying to himself and lying to his people. But we can all read the tea leaves. George Weah is not. I'll make a major prediction right now. I don't even think CDC is going to go to second round. I was just in Liberia. George Weah is not a popular person in Liberia right now. And all of us who have gone to Liberia recently, talked to our people, just feel the ground and how people are, they would know that this man's in a desperate situation. Every 3 feet, Ashford, you will see a George Weah poster, a billboard. Literally every 3 feet in Monrovia. I don't know how many millions of dollars he spent on doing that in the county tour, and he's still not getting more popular. George Weah knows he's in major, major trouble, and this is all facade. This is all like Ms. Brooks said, and the doctor said, this is all charade. It's a play. He knows he's going nowhere. So I wouldn't spend much time even talking about that.
Okay, well, folks, as we go through the second round, please keep your comments and your responses very brief because we are leaving from here at 9 o'clock. We're here for 1 hour tonight. To those of you, the ANC supporters, and of course the Unity Party supporters, every time we put the Cash App on there, you guys don't even support the platform. That the maintenance of this platform. I know Pastor Adit is volunteering his services free to Unity Party. I'm pretty sure Coach Q is doing the same, but at least Bridge Radio is for Liberia. We are not affiliated with any political party, so it takes money to run these platforms. So if you can just in your own way drop a little something in the Cash App, we appreciate it. Okay. Having said that, Pastor Addy, George Weah refers to himself as the real change. He went further to say, your guy confessed that they squandered opportunities for 12 years. And he referred to himself as the parked car in the garage for 12 years. You didn't do anything in 12 years. Within 5 years, George Weah, according to him, has done more than you guys did. So, in fact, he is the real change. Stop playing and let them get the job done. Stanik?
The civil servants of Liberia, I'd like to ask you this question. I certainly agree with Mr. President George Weah. He is the real change, but that change has only happened in his personal life. Is that change happening in your life when your salaries were harmonized? Some of you make less than $50, but you got to find transportation to go to work. To the Zogos of Liberia, have you seen change in your life when the president promised you all $13.9 million to address your crisis of drug proliferation? To the market women of Liberia, is that change happening in your life? When your goods, your fishes, your meat that you're selling, you're taking them back home and dumping them? To the students of Liberia, are you experiencing that change in your life when your parents have to decide whether your brother or sister should go first and then you can go next? To the doctors who demonstrated, the interns who demonstrated today, do you feel that change in your life when you're asking the president to support you? So when the president says to all of us, the world watching, that he is the real change, indeed, he's absolutely correct. When he certainly cannot account for $11 million of the rice money when rice price is going up in Liberia right now as we speak. The $48 billion that he has printed, has that money touched your lives for genuine change? But he's going to stand up on the pulpit, on the podium, and said he is the real change. He's absolutely correct. That change is only happening in his life because he built 48 houses for himself in less than 6 months of his presidency. So he's absolutely right. He's the real change. When all of those senators who sat on there and endorsed him, because the real change is only happening in their lives, not your lives. So they're right. They can boast of that change because it is happening only in their lives. And that is why Rescue 1 and Rescue 2 are willing to change that around so that you too cannot be spectators in your own economy. You can be a part of the socio-economic and political advancement of your country. Liberia deserves better. And what you're going through now makes no sense for you. And that is why true change is coming. William R. Toller was then vice president for 19 years until he became president. And Liberia saw the change. Make no mistake, Joseph Boyka is your reality. And he's that person that's going to make life different for you compared to this gangsterism we have calling it a government. Thank you.
Dr. Fisk, George Weah claims he is the real change, and the rest of the other guys are just joking.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a real change because he has access to all of the money in Liberia, right? Isn't that how presidents operate in the country? Dassila had the bank Wayflower, okay? So the thing is, we don't have good institutions. And because we don't have good institutions, people abrogate things to themselves that they should not. What would you have a bunch of legislators who make more money than U.S. congressional leaders? America's GDP is so humongous in
21 trillion.
Yeah, 21 trillion GDP compared to Liberia that has a GDP of what? I don't know how many $1 million. Okay, but yet and still the legislators of Liberia make the same amount of money as legislators who call themselves congressional leaders in the US. It makes no sense. It means these people, if you cannot try to structure your salary in a way that reflects the economic reality of your country, it means that you're out of touch. Okay. And the syndrome of being out of touch is that Mr. Weah doesn't think that he owes the Liberian people any explanation. The last time he came from abroad, and when he came from the CIA place, they tried to ask him a question. He said, "Why you asking me a question? I'm the president." Okay, well, so because you're president, you're not supposed. Did you just wake up one minute and became a president, or was it because these same Liberian people that you're now looking down on aren't these individuals the same individuals who elected you to office? I was just looking on Facebook at they say George Weah 12 years accomplishment. He has all of these roads. So let's talk about them a little bit. If people were paying money, you could have TOLL roads. and those roads will go even faster. Okay. And how is it possible for that to happen? By creating jobs, massive job employment. I talked yesterday about government getting involved in jobs, and in some instances, 35% of some countries are invested in public sector job creation. 35%. That's about that for a population of 2 million people, 2 million active workers. That's about 700,000 people who should be working in the public sector. So these guys have not even touched the iceberg. Now, if you don't have up to 700,000 Liberians working and being gainfully employed, does it not make sense then that you will go ahead and underwrite the cost for the children's tuition? Because there's no money that's circulating in the system. But because the kids don't understand it from that economic standpoint, they go and do what? To go and tell him, thank you. You know, like we're in some kind of communist China, we have to go and say thank you to the master, thank you to the leader. You know, these are things, this is a patronage system we need to get away from, where you abrogate it to yourself, you take the people money, okay? And because of that limited resources, everybody is squandering for it when you have an otherwise rich country if people were doing the right thing. Okay, so I'll continue to say that the people are not stupid, especially the people in Montserrado County. They're not stupid. They're feeling the pain like big time. Okay, Zogos will go ahead and do what they want to do. I don't know how many of them will still be on board that CDC train, but don't fool yourself. At the end of the day, the reason why Darius Dillon won an election in Montserrado County is because the people of Montserrado understand that Weah is not doing what they thought he would have done to get away from the failures of Ellen.
Thank you.
12 years, Ellen just had, or most of her accomplishments were on paper, but in actual reality, the Liberian people were feeling the pain, and they thought that this guy who was from obscurity would have understood the plight and would have worked to elevate everybody else, but he did not. People are not stupid.
Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts.
Yes, Ashford, how are you?
I'm better than good. George Weah is saying he's the real change. And he said others were there for 12 years, they squandered resources. And the Liberian said, 12 years, you're not doing 19. That Jenna, you would do 19?
Well, we can say the same thing about him. 6 years, he didn't do anything. That now he wants another term. You know, as the Liberian people say, when your Christmas will be good, you know from the eve. When you enter any position or any situation, you exemplify what you will do. And maybe in the end, you might get a little weak. You know, most times when you get a new job or you get a new boss, people say, don't mind that one. Give her some time. You know, right now she's, you know, making sure all I's are dotted and all T's are crossed, because they know you come with some zeal. And then maybe as you stay longer, you might, you know, bring down your guard a little more. But these people came with the opposite. You came doing everything wrong. And then the little bit that was left from the previous administration, you built on it. Nothing, which is a good thing. That's what governments are for. But that's all you did. Built on what was left. What have you done? What have you brought? What can we see? You said you made promises of teachers. You made promises of what else he promised? Oh, thousands of jobs. All of these things. What he has done is overcrowd the payroll. People who they harmonized the payroll, they overcrowded, they harmonized, and giving people half bag of rice. I know people who get maybe a little stipend here and half bag of rice. That's what they get. They go for a whole month and you give them little things. We have a story coming out with Finda Bondo and this same guy who's been feeding people. They are the new drug pushers. And I say that with reservation, but nothing comes out that is not true most times. Okay? They go. We have seen on camera when they took over Malba Malu, people drugs. That's evidence of that. You have done everything wrong. You have more drug addicts in our country, especially the young generation, than you had before. Today, I saw a dead body. I mean, it's so gruesome that people will have dead people, dead person, and everybody comes to look at them. While it's true that you may not know the person's identity, but don't you take their body and put them somewhere, and then you say, put out a public service announcement, say, whoever is missing a family, even if it's on the outskirts, because sometimes the crime is done where the person doesn't even live. But you have people coming and looking at somebody's body like, this is going viral. This is the 21st century. What are you doing to safeguard these people? And you want another term when you started off and we can't see anything you have done. And all most stuff is wired fees.
Thank you. We'll go to Coach Q, and then after that, we're going to go to closing statements and call this a night tonight. Coach
Yeah.
Q.
So, Ashford, when you look at that term, right? I wanted to start here. When you look at that term, harmonize, I think that term is one of the most disrespectful and heartless terms. Let's talk about that real quick. Harmonize. That means bringing harmony with, right? So what this government said, before I talk about Joseph Boycott again, but what this government said was how much money that they were paying civil servants was not in line with how much revenue was being generated in the country. So we have to bring that in line. They, however, did not say that about themselves in those legislatures. So you took the little guy's money and took skim off the top. And then you said, because we're paying you too much. But when it came to themselves, they did not do that. George Weah still got his private jet. He still got the movie theater in the house. He still got the Maserati car, right? He didn't harmonize that, right? He did not advocate for our people. Keep in mind why this man was elected. Keep in mind why he was elected. This man was elected because the people really believe, because he came from nothing, just like we all did. I come from nothing too. Like all of us, like most of us did, right? I'm not going to speak for everyone. Okay, maybe Reverend Addy looked like he was Lebanese man money, but I come from Zing House, right? I had nothing.
The way your series bad at that.
when you come from nothing and you can't, you don't have empathy for our people, Ashford, that you lost the people. The people really believed that George Weah would have come and really looked to elevate them. When you have to explain to them, look, I pay for Y's fee and I give college students free tuition. Listen, people are not going to remember what you said to them, what you said about them. They're going to remember how you made them feel. If you go to Liberia right now, our people are hurting. That's why they're not supporting George Weah like they were, the belief they had in George Weah, because no matter how you sugarcoat it, the people remember how they feel. How they feel, right? Let me close here, because this is where Joseph Boycott comes in. No matter what these people say, Joseph Boycott and his team was there for 12 years. 12 years. 12 whole years. Our people remember getting bullied. Our people remember not having jobs, how they were looked down on. They cannot escape that. They cannot lie their way out of that. Our people remember how UP made them feel. And because of that, Joseph Boycott is one of the million reasons what disqualifies him for leading us.
Thank you. Well, folks, we've come to closing statements. We have 5 minutes. I will give each of you 1 minute each to close out. And since last night, Pastor Addy had the last word. Tonight, we're going to give the last word to Coach Q, just to be fair. So, Pastor Addy, your 1 minute starts now.
Well, my fellow Liberians, I just want to say that we are in a very crucial space. October 10 is that decision between your poverty or the life of prosperity. If you want that true change to touch your life, you have a choice to make, not on the basis of tribe, but on the basis of a real vision that can bring food security, bring roads, give you quality education, and change your city, Monrovia, and other parts from living in feces to a life you can be proud of. And the truth of this reality is in the vision of Joseph Boyka. Make no mistake, that choice is yours for the greater good of the country, beginning with you yourself. Now, I refuse to believe that ANC will ever support the CDC, but their constant criticizing of Joseph Boyka wants to make me believe whether or not they will support the CDC for the change they're advocating for. Unfortunately, I don't believe it because I think Mr. Cummings knows better than that. Because George Weah, the president, is the object of removal. Thank you.
Dr. Fisk.
Yeah, one thing people need to understand is that media is extremely important. People on this show may not necessarily have to declare whether they have voting cards or not. But what happens on the media influences a lot of people that have voting cards. Okay, that is how elections are won. Is because people are on the television, people are on the radio, articulating things that people see. Okay, and Liberian people are not stupid. They are living with the dirt, the filth. They are living with the dirt. They are living with the poor health system. They are living with massive poverty where CDC thinks they have to go around building people houses rather than giving people jobs for people to build their own houses. You have a person who's elected to be president of Liberia and still thinks that he's in Inter Milan. So he's going about building soccer pitches rather than building factories to create jobs for Liberians. If you don't have someone who's talking about making throwing away the importation of rice into Liberia and making rice a national security commodity and increasing job up to at least 500,000 Liberians, then which means to say that person is not serious. And if you have a group of legislators who make money more than American legislators, it tells you that the institutions need reform. So if we have to reform the institution, then we need to understand who is the best person to bring about that reform. The people that have been working within the system or people who are coming from without. I mean, that's just my argument in this whole thing.
Thank you,
I
Doc.
don't stand with any person in particular, but I think that is the issue. That's the crux of the issue that we need to look at.
Thank you. Mrs. Lexi Brooks Roberts.
Yes.
Your 1 minute, please.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you to our listening audience. Thank you for coming in every night or when we're here to participate. In closing, I do want to say it is a sad day when you have people that are on Mr. Boyka's team that are tribalists and speak of people such as Brumskin Cummings as being a conduct team and nobody's going to elect them in America, in Liberia. That should be condemned. That should be shunned. That kind of politics is sad. and also, I heard on from one of the UP gentlemen who talked about the balance requirement of the from the election commissions that these people go around the same thing. I mean, the corruption is everywhere. So they require you have a 10,000 balance, but you have 6,000. They ask your party, say, "Oh, we need to have 10,000 people here because NEC will be inspecting in 2 days." Then they put it there. Then after that, you withdraw your money. All of these corruption. I mean, you come on broadcast network and speak it out that you are a corrupt person, but you want us to give you power. Liberians, it's a new day. We have the internet. We have all these people coming out, and they don't know what they're saying, or they get so carried away, but they're exposing themselves. We have a young woman that tells you she has policy, that she has worked on for our country.
Thank you,
and
Mrs.
how
Roberts.
to work on. Let's go for the right people and not just people that favor us or from our tribe. Thank you.
Well, Coach Q, please take us home tonight.
Yeah, so I would caution, I would start by saying to our people, do not let perfection, the pursuit of perfection, be the enemy of progress. No one says Mr. Cummings' ascendancy or presidency is perfect. We are, however, in a competition, Dr. Addy, Pastor Addy. We are. We're going to compete. This is probably some of the things that we really need in Liberia is athletics to teach hard work, teamwork, what competition is all about, grit. This is what we're doing. If we can't even win in Liberia, how are we supposed to win against the fellow Western African countries or international competition? Okay. Mr. Cummings has said time and time again, Pastor, that he will support the opposition. He has said that. Mr. Boyka has yet to say that. Here's what I want to leave the Liberian people. You know what a man cares about by the things that he talks about and he spends his money and time on. I will say it again. If you want to know what a man really cares about, look at what he spends his time and his money on. Speaking of the people who are vying for our leadership, just look at their history. What has these people spent their time and money on? Okay, Mr. Boycott, we're not knocking this man just to be disrespectful. What we are saying is you can look at the trend, like Liberian people say, right? You know the Christmas by the Eve. Look at what he has done. What has he advocated for since 1973? What is his hallmark advocacy? There is none. George Weah, when he became president, what has he done that really shows that he really have empathy for our people on a large scale? There is none. We need to look at the people. If you look at Mr. Cummings, what he has spent his time on and his money on, look at the projects. Mr. Cummings' projects, he has done more. He has donated more, done more for Liberian than all these politicians who are running right now put together. I will post the list if I have to again. Put together. I have done that before. So we need to pick the person who has empathy for our people, who cares about our people, and most of all, who has the ability to create and generate money. That's what we need, to infuse money into the country. There's only one person who can do that, and that's Mr. Alexander Cummings. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And folks, with that, that's all the time we have to be with you. God willing, we'll be on Friday. Mr. Prince M. Dobbert, you're welcome. You want to be on the program on Friday to defend CDC and what you saw in Liberia when you went to register to vote. You are welcome. With that, basi yomplu, sekonwe epelia. Jira situ kwa jege zebon plu da nanja ko me o chiraji. Ye ule no muzo no wonje madobo. The mastermind, the medicine of the microphone, the golden voice of radio. He doesn't eat iron, but he's definitely stronger than a lion. As for the giant, Africa's media doobie-doo extraordinaire. Have a good night.